I don't know if anybody's noticed, but in Canada, specifically in Toronto, I've seen people who are retarded call other normal people retarded and say that they're normal. I don't know if it's because they haven't been diagnosed. I don't know if it's because they don't know that there's something wrong with them. I don't know if it's because their family's trying to prevent them from being able to recognize like who they are and their disabilities that come from that. I mean mental retardation as in like there's an inability for that person to progress and learn. Like they're stuck at a stage in life that most people move past on from, and for whatever reason they can't move past it. That's retarded, right? Most people who can't recognize them, like they think they're evil or they're criminals or something. They're not. Because they still have access to an internet, and some of them can still like literally read word for word. They take things literally every single time. They don't understand like a figure of speech or nuances or cultural differences. Stuff like that goes right over their heads. Like they don't know what those things are. And the minute that they start realizing that's what's going on, like that's what people are talking about, they get very upset and very angry because they don't understand it. So that's a really good sign that somebody's retarded, because they start throwing temper tantrums. It doesn't matter what age they're at, the minute they can't understand or comprehend what is going on, and it's due to something that they don't have any proficiency or background education in, and something that they can't personally grasp. They're like socially like babies. You smile at them and they smile back at you. You say coochie 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 coo, and then they get a little bit better, and they don't understand like what they're doing is wrong, because to them there's no such thing as wrong and right. There's no such thing as good and bad. Everything's okay. You can always work things out. That kind of stuff, except they believe that. Like literally just on the superficial level, they're retarded. Okay. I've seen so many police officers who have mental retardation. I've seen them being intentionally employed in government sectors. I don't know why people are hiring them, to be honest. You shouldn't be hiring retarded people to work. I'm not talking about people with actual disabilities or some sort of cognitive delay such as Down syndrome or any other like genetic disorders. Those guys also suffer from disabilities such as low IQ and all that kind of stuff, but they're very well aware of their condition, and they work with a lot of professionals, including doctors, to try to manage and treat their symptoms. Whereas the people that I've noticed who are exactly like those people, may not physically look like that, they don't actually go see a doctor or anything because they think they're normal, because they look physically normal. I don't know what's wrong with that guy. There's another payphone all the way over there, and he's refused, and he's actually just sitting refusing, and he's standing right beside me, and he's been yelling and smashing the phone the entire time I was here. I don't know why the TTC workers don't talk to him about his inappropriate behavior, and instead opt to come and talk to me and kind of complain to me and yell at me about why I'm using this bus shelter for its intended services, to stay out of the weather conditions and use the plugs and the Wi-Fi. But I didn't blink into my head, didn't sink in that they might actually be retarded too. Most of them were inbred. I think they were lied to when they were kids, when people started talking about that kind of stuff. Their parents told them that they're not inbred, and they're normal and they're fine. Like they're just teasing you, they're just being mean. Like kids when they get to a certain age, you start like being mean to each other and stuff like that. They're lying, obviously. Like you can't even tell who's lying, who's not lying. Like I think he might be retarded. That kind of stuff. He's not actually calling anyone, from what I can see. He's there just like typing on the phone and stuff. Oh, I should probably say something. This is fun. Is there something wrong with that guy? I think there is. I see people like that at homeless shelters all the time. I don't know if it's because they're retarded. and a lot of retards who don't live at homeless shelters, who live with their families, who like make sure that they're responsible, whereas the people who live at the shelters, families aren't very responsible. That's the only difference. And they have more money. That's it. For whatever reason, I found out that they've been stealing. But
Please do your best to stay at least 2 meters or 6 feet away from other customers and TTC employees.
If anybody's nervous or retarded people aren't sweet. They're very awful. They're annoying. They're loud. A lot of people like to call them ghetto. They're hard to get along with, but they think otherwise.
Monday through Thursday, subway service on a portion of line 1 between Finn
Like they
and
think that they're not
London
hard to get along with. They think that they're normal, and they think that like they're not like shitty people.
for more information.
Like I'm talking about mentally handicapped people. Like you know that they're handicapped. Like you can even feel it when you look at them trying to enunciate and come up with sentences and stuff. Like I knew that a lot of people thought Canadians were all retarded, but I'm like, I don't disagree with the government employees. I've seen what they're like. Some of them, like, they hire people with mental problems so that, like, the retards don't get upset about the fact that there's somebody who's better than them working at the same workplace as they are working at. That's retarded. That's retardation. Excuse me, I thought they were supposed to be killed off a while ago. I don't know why they're still alive. There's a lot of questions that I have that have not been answered. Mainly, why are they still alive? Who made them? What's going on? Why do people still keep them alive? Why are they hired to work? Like, what's the point of hiring those guys if they're not even willing to seek treatment and work along other professionals? Also, mental retardation is something that like severely impacts a person's happiness and progression in life. No, not criminals, okay? Those guys, they look kind of retarded, some of them do really retarded shit. So you can't even tell sometimes because of the stuff that they say and they're planning on doing. You're just like, are you insane? But they're not retarded. Like, you know, like the retards, like, I don't know how to talk, but they don't talk like this. Like, some of them actually, people who talk like that usually are senile or they have dementia, okay? They have like Parkinson's disease or like Alzheimer's or something. It's severely affecting their motor skills, their motor things, and it's preventing them from being able to enunciate things properly. Like, yeah. That's not mental retardation. That could be a neurological disorder. It's most likely dementia, which is technically a neurological disorder. Okay, people haven't been able to find a cure for dementia yet, but that stuff, like that kind of stuff, that's mostly like it's Parkinson's or like that's not really mental retardation. Mental retardation is like, yeah, no, I'm smart, but like, you know, you can't really see it, but like, yeah, I really like doing really good things. Like sometimes like I even help out with my mom when like she needs help with groceries and like do dishes for her and stuff, and like yeah, like I like to go hang out with my cousins, and like sometimes they like let me hold their hand and stuff, and my mom like lets me pet puppies and dogs at the dog park when like I'm under supervision, because I don't really like dogs that much, and like honestly they kind of freak me out, but like I'm okay if somebody else I know is there with me. And yeah, sometimes I know I'm not supposed to say those things. Like I call my coworker a cat sometimes, but like I think sometimes they're the same. Sometimes I can't really see the difference between a cat and a person. Sometimes I don't really see the difference between pets and people, and it's hard for me to understand it. But like, I know it's not okay for me to say that kind of stuff. So like, when I do that kind of stuff, like my parents and sometimes like my relatives get really mad at me for it. They've been trying really hard to find me a job to so a place for me to work at. My cousin, he actually got like a job working as like at like a person who puts stuff on the shelves and stuff. I think it was at Walmart. I don't remember which store location though. Like, it was a while ago. I don't know if she still works there and stuff. But like last time we saw each other, which was like about a year ago at like our annual family potluck. She like told me that like she had to move because like some weird stuff was happening around her, and I was like, that's so weird. Yeah, but I don't know what she was talking about because like, and then my mom told me that like I couldn't talk to her for a long time because she's going through some really bad stuff. And I was like, that's so weird, and I want to know more about it. But then my mom's like, I'm not like, she said that it's better to just leave people do their own business, and like it's not okay to be nosy like that even if they're family. And I was like, oh, that's probably true. That's a retard. You know, when you're like, it's not okay for you to say that because it's completely like inhumane. You don't even know what's going on, and you can't make those assumptions. Like, what the fuck is wrong with you? They get that response all the time with people with mental retardation. Except when they interpret it, they don't understand what that person is saying. That's why they're handicapped, right? There's like a block on their brain or something. Like, it's just, they have so much trauma from people telling them what they're doing is not okay. Because to them, they don't understand what they're doing. They think they're doing something else. You know, like when babies are really clumsy and they start learning how to walk and then they fall down all the fucking time, and they're like, "Wah, I scraped my knee because I fall." You know, like 2-year-olds or like 6 month to 2-year-old are still learning how to walk and run and stuff like that. Yeah, it's like that, except with just like understanding just regular social rules. Like, it's just every time you have a conversation with that person, they trip or they like start getting upset, or like it's just, it's not okay for them to behave or respond that way emotionally or otherwise. But they don't understand that's what they're doing. They're just trying to understand and grasp what everyone else already has. So they don't get it. They don't get what's going on. They don't get, I don't, nah, nah. And then it's like, I'm not talking about people who are going through PTSD. It may look very similar, but it's not the same. With mental retardation, that's what that is. How do you tell if somebody's mentally retarded versus when somebody is mentally ill? Typically, people who have kids who are mentally retarded usually like they coddle them. It's like mollycoddling them. They're like the helicopter parents or the lawnmower parents. They always keep like really close eye on their kids, unless your parents are retarded and they'll do the same thing like that because that's how their parents treated them, and they don't understand why their parents treat them that way. So they think every parent was like that, and they start doing that to their own kids, not understanding that's not how people go about doing things. For that reason, a lot of people don't understand that they have mental retardation until they get a lot older, right? When they start finding out, why am I not like other people? Like, what's wrong with me? How come people don't really like me? How come what I'm doing is wrong? How come no one's really chastising me for it? Right? Like, most people, when they do something wrong, people yell at them or like they say something, right? They're like, what the fuck is wrong with you? What the fuck is your problem, dude? Like, right? And for people who are obviously mentally retarded, people are just very nice to them all the time. They're like, oh my god, it's totally fine. Like, yeah, I know you didn't mean it. Like, yeah, no, like, totally. Like, don't worry about it. You know what? It happens all the time. It's fine. That kind of stuff. Like, if they, that's how you can tell if people think you're retarded or not. I don't know if you actually are. But if people think you're retarded because you're not doing something as expected of your age group and your gender and your social class and your social group, if those 4 categories you're not like, you're not accepted, you're being socially unacceptable in any of those categories, people are gonna think that you're retarded. And how they respond is like, oh my god, don't, it's not really a mistake. Like, life is not really a mistake. Like, it was kind of like, you know, some people like, they kind of get like that. Like, you see, the guy's like overreacted, don't worry. It's because they don't think that you know how to handle yourself or like anything. They think you're just this huge accident waiting to happen, a bomb waiting to go off. So that's why they don't say anything to you, and they're so nice to you all the time. And the minute you meet somebody who has some sort of criticism against you is when you start getting very upset. Now, I think somebody else is telling the TTC workers how to respond to me, so that I think something the opposite is happening. So with the UFT, this is a legal battle that they're trying to get me to go through, which isn't going through at all. So what they're doing is like trying to convince me that people think I'm retarded, so that I would internalize what their opinions of me are, and also like intentionally getting people to like abuse me at the wrong time, so that like I hate myself. It's just they don't know that they're mentally retarded, because this is what other people know. Skills such as linguistics and education and teaching are something that anyone can learn. You spend enough years developing such skills, especially with the guidance with the help of your family and your peers, because you want to be a teacher, so everyone around you is going to support you in what you want to do, right? And then you finally get a job, and then you get a degree, you get a job, and you show up to work every day, and it's great until you realize that you're retarded. And then you encounter somebody who's not retarded, and it makes you upset, right? You have a serious meltdown. Or like you meet somebody on the street who's better than you or something, and they're nothing like you, and you're like, this isn't fair. And then they start crying and saying all those things. That's retardation. The cops who are getting laid off or fired, or otherwise just getting caught doing illegal activities at work, who have to go to prison or something, and have decided to stalk me off duty and start yelling obscenities at me, that's called mental retardation. They don't know what those words even mean. That's the weird part with it. Like they don't know what those words mean. It doesn't mean that thing, and I don't know why you're saying that way. But it's because you're handicapped, and they're upset, and they're trying to insult the other person because they want the other person to feel bad because they feel bad. That's again mental retardation. That's like the core of the disorder, pervasive developmental disorder. I'm me, and everyone else is just like me. Right? It's just kind of, it's hard for people to like accept this fact that there's something wrong with them. They're not like the other normal kids. And you meet these people all the time in public schools. I mean, I had to suffer through public school. Again, a lot of people who actually do make enough income to send their kids to private schools and put their kids and help out their family members and be able to have their friends and stuff in nicer, affluential people, nicer neighborhoods, affluential people, that they actually told me that this is why they have public schools set up, so that people like that can still have somewhat semblance of a normal life. And at the end of the day, even if you are born into a poor family, you don't have to suffer through not having access to those things that everyone else has access to. Like the education level, that kind of stuff is regulated by the government. So even if you go to a private school, you're not going to get teaching materials, or you're not going to be taught materials that's not already approved by the government. Right? So that's the material that they're teaching is the same, but the way that they teach it and the textbooks that are being given out and the people who prepare the teaching courses or whatever is going to be different. But other than that, like at the end of the day, you still have that, you still are able to attend school, and there is still somebody overseeing your grades, your work, and your academic abilities. You might not be the greatest, but again, it's better than if you didn't have that, because you didn't have money for those things because of the fact that for whatever reason your parents did not have money to send you to a better school or something. And I was like, yeah, that's not okay. I mean, you can't just assess me by something that I have nothing to personally do with. That shouldn't be my assessment, that should be their assessment, it shouldn't be affecting me. That's what I was saying. But again, people don't really understand that, because they're retarded. They don't get that. It's too much for them to grasp, but some of them actually have to be forced to be taught in a way so that they can understand these things. I mean, honestly, I say they said that they weren't even surprised that this kind of stuff is happening and they're hearing about it, and they were hoping that it wouldn't affect them either, but it can't happen without it affecting them anyway because they still live there, right, in the same area, and they're, yeah, that kind of stuff. But anyway, they're like, yeah, we're not actually surprised because I know you don't believe this, or maybe you haven't seen it yourself, but that kind of stuff happens all the time to people who live in lower income neighborhoods who rely excessively on public services, such as public schools, the police, libraries, any sort of like government assisted programs where there's little to no fee for the person to utilize their services or products. And I'm like, isn't that a bad thing? He's like, yes, that's a bad thing. There shouldn't be a need for it. That means something's wrong. Like, that means something's not going well there. I mean, there's a lot of like, and they also try to like explain to me the best way they can, the nicest way they can say it. It's like 100% we agree that it's not your fault, but then at the same time, we can't do anything about it. And I'm like, that's why everyone's leaving the country, you know this. And they're like, yeah, we're kind of understanding it now. Before, we thought that they were being kind of excessive and they were being a little dramatic and they just didn't want to stay and improve things, but we see now that we have to do what they had to do. We see why they left and they see how it's affecting everyone else, and I'm like, yeah, that's kind of why nobody wanted to support you guys or help you out, because you keep on doing that kind of stuff, or you refuse to do anything when things were happening. Like, you see that kind of stuff happen, and like you intervening or saying something might have prevented it, but you didn't even want to do that. Like, you just sat on your ass and didn't do anything, and then you expected all these good things to happen, which is pretty retarded. But that's what they were telling me they're not surprised because that's what happens in public systems. That's where the poor people go. And I'm like, you never use those public systems. They're like, no, we never. Because we know what it's like. We don't actually go there. We don't use those systems. We don't use those services. There's no reason for us to. There's a reason. Oh my god. There's a reason for us to like oversee it because that's where our tax monies are going. Sometimes we do report some of the stuff that's going on in their neighborhood, and they want to see what kind of citizens are coming in, because a lot of them are responsible for training and hiring those employees, right? But they said outside of that, like, they don't actually like, and I'm like, it just sounds like you don't want really, like, it doesn't really sound like you want things to improve either. And they're like, we're really busy. That's the problem. You think it's easy to maintain that, but we have to get up and go to work every day, and you have to make sure that we're okay too, so we can live our life. And then at the end of it, when you have that little time for ourselves, we like to go on that little mini vacation. We can't even, because all this stuff that's happening. And I'm like, I guess. But yeah, they're like, yeah, don't be surprised. Like, you know what? The fact that you're in a lower income tax bracket, and the fact that you're using public services, and the fact that this is only for poor people, most of whom we never actually get to meet because we have our own cars. If not, we're gonna be able to afford our chauffeurs. We don't actually go to the same grocery stores that they go to. We even get them delivered. Some of them even own farms. They're like, yeah, we don't actually ever encounter those people. Like, you don't really understand. Like, we don't ever see them, like, those people out and about and stuff like that. We never even get a chance to talk to them. And I'm like, yeah, I never did either until they forced me there. And I don't know why they would do that. I'm just like, did they expect me to marry one of them or be friends with one of them or something? And they're like, I don't think that's what they meant. They just didn't know what to do about that situation. They didn't want to go to prison. That's why they did those things. And I'm like, yeah, but that's not okay for them to do that, even if that's what they were doing. Like, there should be able, they're like, again, you're working with the lower tax bracket, which means that they're not very educated. and nobody in the higher earning income people, they don't really consider these people worth it. Like you don't consider them worth it either. And I'm like, yeah, I don't. And they're like, yeah, they feel exactly the same way. They don't really want to put in the effort, and they know that they're gonna cause problems at work for other people who work there. So they're not willing to hire them either. So they're kind of forced to work this shitty low wage government jobs. You get a lot of like crap for it because they do that kind of shit. But again, because they're low educated and they're not very good people, they're not really recognizing what they're doing or how to improve it. It's just they don't know what to do with them. They're still citizens here, and I'm like, why don't you just like fire them and find new people to like work those jobs? I'm sure a lot of people wouldn't mind working those jobs. And they're like, it's dangerous. That's why people don't want to work it. You'd have to be a complete idiot if you think you're gonna work those jobs and not face any actual consequences. Like, you can't even say no to some situations that like you should be saying no to. And I'm like, that sucks.
We strongly recommend customers wear a cloth mask or face
But I don't know what to
cover when
say.
shopping on the TVC. Please visit tbc.ca/mask for more information.
Yeah, but they're like, please don't be so upset. It doesn't matter which country you go to. The minute you enter the lower income or the poverty or the poor areas, you're gonna face the same like problem. And oh my god, I'm just really upset. I got like, well, I'm hoping that they're pimples and not ant bites. That's what I'm hoping to God. I'm like, please tell me these are pimples and not like ant bites. I've been getting breakouts from like eating nothing but instant noodles all day, but these instant noodles gave me breakouts here and over here. Oh, is that what he's getting? Oh my god. I thought it was because, oh my god, never mind.
Chester Station will be closed from June 9th to June 22nd to accelerate easier access.
I'm gonna kill that guy.
Trains will bypass Chester in both directions.
Okay, I need some cigarettes and
Both stations are accessible and within walking distance.
I think that's what the cops are trying to do. Oh my god. That is not okay. Ugh, stinks. It's like getting hit in the face with like, you know when it's like a hot summer's day and you open up your trash can and there's like garbage juice left on it and it's like just onions and garbage juice and it hits your eye, just like, what the fuck? Yeah, that's what that feels like. Pretty sure that guy was just away. Yeah, they were trying to get me to be friends with the people that I was talking to that I knew again. And I was like, no, they're insane. And they didn't know that they were that crazy until I told them they were crazy. And they're like, you can't actually say that anymore because we actually figured out that they did have mental disabilities, like they have mental disorders and stuff. So what another woman has told me, they're like, you can't actually blame them for the stuff that they did due to the fact that they suffer from mental illnesses. I mean, that's not something that you can actively blame them for or anything. And I'm like, are you insane? And they're like, no, seriously, like, even if they go to court, because they had the psyche evaluation and psychiatric assessment and they were long overdue for some sort of health stuff, and due to their income level and stuff and the fact that they don't have access to a lot of resources, they actually aren't really legally liable. I mean, you are not legally liable, so what they did is illegal, but I don't know if they're gonna get the same sentencing as if they were sane or mentally stable or sound. That's what they were saying. The cops didn't know that they were that stupid. But again, I'm like, they're intentionally hiring stupid people to work those jobs because they're supposed to be able to like do that without actually having any feelings or like understand like how it's hurting other people, because if they do that then they wouldn't do those things. You know what I mean? Do you understand what I'm trying to say? It's like, okay, so like you can't just knock into a stranger's house and just steal their things, confiscate it, wait for the judge to go ahead to give it back to them. I mean, that would make anyone feel uncomfortable. That's not okay. You know? But that's what their job is. Yeah, so like there's no way they can do that without like. I mean, apparently some of the officers, if they're hired and they're not okay with that, they kind of turn that kind of stuff off at work, and they have like problems in their personal life from doing that stuff at work. But like other than that, like that's kind of why they're not supposed to work that job for that long. But it's a job, okay? It's like a part-time gig, except like it's 10 times more stressful. It's supposed to be. A lot of them stopped working and they're being lazy. So like, currently there's no cops copying the area. Currently, right now, 2020, COVID, lockdown, and no police. Everyone, there's no such thing as police anymore. I don't know what happened, but they started doing all the illegal activities. They realized that they were doing it, and then when they realized it, they went kind of batshit insane.
This Sunday only.
That's what
Flight 3
happens
will be
when you
closed
do
for
those
constant
things.
maintenance. Shuttle buses will run.
Looks like it's about to rain soon.
There is
Yeah.
no subway service on a portion of Line 1 between Lawrence and Bloortown Station due to ATC signal upgrades. Shuttle buses are running. Visit adc.ca for more information.
I really wish that I could shave. I just honestly, I don't know why I keep getting these images of dick pics ingrained into my brain, and I'm like, I just wish people stop sending me dick pics, because this hasn't been a problem since I started going online. I tried online dating, it didn't really work. Weird, right? Like I tried, but it just never worked out. Anyway, dick pics everywhere. Just wanna see my dick, boom. Here's my dick, boom. Here's another guy's dick, boom. And I'm just like, can you stop with the dick pics? Why are you showing me that? Like, Jesus, I don't really care about that until I have to. At least they're like, look, my dick is big enough. You should be happy. And I'm like, it's like actually like 4 inches big. And I was like, Jesus. To be honest, the guys that I did meet in person had really small dicks. Also, I think someone was trying to get me to marry some guy who stole from me, and I'm like, I'm not marrying a fucking thief. How miserable do you think you want my life to be? What's wrong with you? No, thank you. Unless I was also a thief. In which case, why would I not marry a thief? But I'm not a thief, I don't steal. That's crazy, literally. People steal like crazy. But yeah, they're like, yeah, you know what? Like, just, please, be aware. You're living in a lower income area, in a lower income thingy bracket. It's hard not for anybody, even if they had friends and families to support them to get out of the income bracket. It's not easy. And coupled with that, like, you're doing this on your own. You don't have a lot of people to rely on, and that's actually benefiting you because you're not supposed to be excessively relying on people at your age anyway. A lot of people in their 20s don't realize this, but you're not supposed to rely on anyone during your 20s and your 30s. You can start relying on people when you get a little older, and that's when you can understand when you can start trusting people and when you shouldn't be trusting people, when you can ask people to do and when you can't ask people to do, and what should be okay and what shouldn't be okay, which is why a lot of people who are CEOs of corporations and stuff, they're like in their 50s. Okay, but when you're younger, right, when, like, you know, when surgeons open heart surgeries, they're usually into their 30s. Well, into their 30s when they actually do their own first open heart surgery. That's their first surgery. After all that practice being led by other surgeons. I think there's a doctor who's trying to... Yeah, I think he was trying to do a research thing on MDMA and its efficacy on PTSD. There's been mixed results. It's effective for some people, not for all, so it's inconclusive data. So it's like it's mixed results means that it's not necessarily inconclusive, as in there's no effect or whatever. It's mixed results means that like we don't know the variables behind how these mechanisms work for us to say that this is applicable in every case. If that was true, then we can use it as a medical research thing. So if every person who went through the test trial responded the same way to a certain degree, then we can say this has some sort of efficacy. But since they don't all respond that way, but there is response with people, and it's some more significant than others, but some none, we can actually conclude that this. We're not really sure if what the treatment is, which part of the treatment being is applicable there. He says, yeah, that's what MDMA is a hallucinogen class of drug hallucinogen, same class as LSD and mushrooms and all those things, right? Psychobilin, there's like this cactus stuff that's also a hallucinogenic. So it's some sort of derivative extract of something. I don't know what it is exactly, the compound, but they were testing it out on people who suffer from PTSD to see if it helped with the symptoms to reduce or even eliminate PTSD altogether. Turns out it actually mixed results, as in it does with some people, it doesn't with some people. We don't know exactly what's going on there. And I mean, I don't know if there's enough evidence to support the continual research of this. Yeah, but yeah, but they also told me that like, yeah, you already know this, the poverty level or the lower income people, they also have a lot more higher incidence of mental illnesses. Not that it doesn't exist with a higher income, it does definitely, but not at the same rate as people who are poor, and not at the same hereditary rate as people who are poor or something. They said, look, if they're lower income neighborhoods and all that kind of stuff typically have those types of problems. Okay, it's not surprising this is affecting you. And I'm like, I get that, but I feel like this is kind of like outside of that. And they're like, there's a lot going on. It seems like it's the turn of the century or something. You know, it's like, it's no longer the 21st century, but now the 22nd century. The world is now turning 22. They're not for 21 anymore. Okay, they're not always gonna be 21 years old. They're like 22 now. It's literally gonna be the 30th century. I will now be dead for a very long time. I'd be like, oh god, I won't even exist. I don't even know if I have kids who will exist, who are related to those kids who exist at that time. Yeah, I am tired. I want to go to sleep. I want to charge my phone. And what is this? What? Okay, I gotta. Where are you? Battery health charging. Full capacity. There you go. I'm tired. I'm gonna go and lie down and sleep because I have the flu. And I don't want my fever to come back. I have fever for like 2-3 days straight. And I'm like, no thanks. I couldn't even sleep throughout the night at one point because of my flu. My fever was so bad. Yeah. getting sick. I am currently Do you have a cigarette by chance?
Yeah, that's it.
I don't know why it won't leave me alone. It's gonna bother me, might as well give me a cigarette. Jeez. Well, I'm talking about like low-income, poverty-stricken people who like. Who cares? I don't care about that stuff. It's so boring. Okay. It's fucking boring. There's nothing to talk about. No honesty. Yes. Okay, thanks.